Hey, good morning, everyone. It's Malaki here again. I've been really enjoying this time of self-isolation and creating content, and particularly these catch-up interviews that I'm doing with people that I know within my network, predominantly people I've worked with or from a business sense. And so today I've got James Burkitt joining me. How are you, James?
Malaki, I could not be better.
Oh, I love that response. That's so good. Yeah, thanks for taking the time up, I guess, to join me. You're a very busy man, hard to tie down, I guess, calling people in Israel and the US with regards to your business, which I'm looking forward to going into more. So James, basically a bit of background for James. He's been in business for close to 30 years and is a director and owner of Corporate Training Solutions. I've known him personally for close to 5 years now. And from what I've known about him, he's a big advocate on building professional relationships. Not only customers within his business, but just other professionals in different industries. So looking forward to talking more about that as well. But we'll just, before we started recording, we're talking about your now postponed Europe trip, which sounded very exciting. Living in Europe for 12 months.
Yes, and that was planned. That was the plan for before things came head on and hibernation set in. To be tripping around Europe as we speak now. Probably in the first month or two of a 12-month sojourn away.
And you and your wife do a bit of travel. From memory, you've been to, I think you went to Vietnam and China last time we crossed paths.
Yeah, China was a hosted trip, I guess, with many others in a bus, and the typical type of thing that happens. I think the most ideal way of travelling, I'd love to do China, would be knowing somebody who was a resident there. Be it an expat or be it somebody that I knew, Chinese who lived there, and being able to travel around with them and stay in private accommodation.
Wow.
And that thing. I think that'd be brilliant, because you'd really get to understand the culture and understand attitudes and understand the way the community thinks, if you like. But my impression was that the Chinese people, they're no different to us. They've got the same aspirations and everything else. They just live somewhere else.
Yeah.
And Vietnam was fabulous. Vietnam was a little bit along those lines, in that we flew into Ho Chi Minh City.
Yep.
We had the flight in, and 30 days later we had a flight out of Hanoi.
Yep.
And during that period of time, it was booking accommodation a day or two ahead and travelling whatever the best means, be it buses, be it boats, be it trains, or we had one or two flights.
Yeah.
But it was just travelling around and spending 4 or 5 days in each centre. Wonderful.
Wow.
Great experience. Fabulous. Not backpacking, but from a mature person's point of view and understanding that I have a level of comfort that I enjoy, it was not it was that style of travel.
100%. I'm totally there with you, mate. That is my preferred method of travel and accommodation. So, yep, you're a man of my own heart. I've done the backpacking, so keen for luxury. And I like what you're saying about getting a local person to help with hints and tips. From my own personal experience, that's definitely helped. Yeah.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah.
But, well, here's hoping that you're able to go to Europe. We're actually planning to go to Europe. We're planning to go to Europe at the end of this year as well. So.
Yeah, and it would be, and our plan is to actually go somewhere 4 weeks, 4 or 5, maybe 6 weeks, in a location. It might be a village. It might be, a major centre.
Yep.
In a suburban area. So there's lots of opportunities. People are doing that all the time.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
No, that's good. So just changing gears a little bit. So corporate training solutions. So do you want to give us like a 1 minute just overview of the type of service that the company offers and any particular ideal clients that you work with?
Yeah, the people we're working with, the training we're doing is all face-to-face training. And so we're working with large and small, mainly mid and large size organisations, be it government or corporates.
Yep.
But it's all based around face-to-face training.
Wow.
Rather than online or any other version. So if it's not face-to-face, well, then we just don't do it.
Yep.
And the reason being is because training is about helping people to make a change.
Yep.
It's about helping people to, it could be using a tool or it could be changing their behaviour. In fact, using a tool is changing their behaviour in terms of using the tool better.
Yep.
So either way, it's about changing behaviour.
Yep.
And changing behaviour isn't something you read about and then you just all of a sudden go and do. It's extremely rare that takes place. It's actually about being in an environment and working with people.
Yes.
Helping them to understand the process of changing their behaviour and then taking them through that steps and if you like, almost giving them the reasons. So as an example, just a software item is if it were helping people to use a software tool better.
Yeah.
You've got to give them reasons. You've got to actually show them how that can improve their time, their day, and give time for them. So one of the things which we have in the back of our minds, in the back of our business all the time, is in terms of the training we do, we're keen to save 1 million minutes.
Oh, wow.
So that's our goal is get to saving 1 million minutes for those, for anybody or for any organisation that we're working with. And whilst that sounds like a big number, it's actually not a huge number.
Yeah.
In fact, a friend of mine says to me, "Oh no, you're starting too low." but the way to save 1 million minutes is just be more effective and use the tools in a far better way. Yeah. So that's really what we're all about. And just as a very, very, very down to earth example of what I'm saying is that the motor car that you learnt to drive in, however many years ago, in my case it was a few more years than yourself, but it was an old model Toyota Corolla, an early model Toyota Corolla that only been out for a couple of years.
Good cars, Corollas.
They're a great car and a good car back then, very stable. But if you can imagine my driving that car then versus driving the car that I do today, I've learned how to use the new tool.
I like that. Yeah, that's a really good.
And learning how to use that new tool means that I no longer punch my left foot as a clutch. It means that when I get into the car, I've learned how to connect my phone automatically. Right. I've also learned how to use the driver assist programs. Yeah. Be it the automatic staying in the lanes, or be it the reverse camera, or be it the cruise control, whatever that may be. I've learned to use those tools, which are now part of that motor car. That's great. I like it. But all too often, I guess the reason I use that analogy is because all too often we learn something, or we self-taught, we teach ourselves. Yep. And particularly when we're talking about software, which is a major part of our business. Yep. Is we go to a new version of the software and we use it in the same way. So it's like me driving my new car today, the same way that I drove that old Toyota Corolla. Wow. That would be terrible. You'd be in a bit of strife, yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. No, thanks for explaining that, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty easy, I guess, just in general in life to have those type of mentalities where, yeah, you just learn something and all of a sudden that's just the blueprint forever. So I like the service and the value add that you provide in that space. Around the COVID-19 shutdown for businesses, we were just speaking briefly about sort of your status and day-to-day. It hasn't really changed much because you already have set yourself up to work from home. But maybe just touch on a little bit about, you know, how has your business model changed? You did mention a bit of face-to-face. What have you done well? And what can you see that's really going to help you once sort of the dust settles and you can continue to provide that service?
Yeah. So our business has gone into hibernation. Mainly because our business being face-to-face, many organisations, they don't want to do anything online, they actually want to do it face-to-face. So our challenge is actually having a tool that we can do virtual instructor-led training.
Yep.
And I'll call it that because one of the big issues with face-to-face, one of the benefits of doing face-to-face is in a classroom environment, is that the trainer in front of you is relating what it is that they're teaching, but they're also walking around the classroom.
Yep.
And so they're actually seeing what's on your screen and being able to work with you as you go along. And if you've got a group of 6, 8, 10 people, some people keep up more than others and that type of thing. So our challenge is actually finding a tool or developing our own tool which can actually have that sort of same experience for the participants in the classroom. Now, where does that lead us on to? Is that, hey, wow, that's a whole new dynamic for us.
Yeah.
Because one of the issues with face-to-face training in person is that we can only reach those people in a localised area. Call it Brisbane, call it Sydney. So when we go to Sydney, and we meet those people in Sydney because they all need to travel. So we can take away the travel issue now.
Yep.
And that means that it can open up a much better learning experience for people in a more remote environment. And so that's a really good thing. I have a great belief, and I always have, and I don't shy away from saying to people that I would much prefer to spend the money on the training than on and reduce the travel costs significantly.
Yes.
So my aim is that all too often it's people flying here, there, and whatever. No. If we can actually spend that money on the training, because that's what's going to create productivity.
Yep. Yeah, I like that approach. You're still providing the same service that you were previously, but there is a bit of an upshot, I guess, because, like you're saying, face-to-face requires people travelling, so there is a potential for a cost savings there. So I like that approach, and I suspect clients would be favourable towards that versus not really want to proceed. So I like that.
Yeah. And perhaps if I say to everybody, not every organisation, not every individual is going to enjoy training online. But in the same way that in this current environment, you and I are talking over the web, and we're all getting very, very used to running our meetings that way. And that's the only way I'm having meetings these days. And I'm having 4 and 5 meetings a day that way.
Wow. Yep.
So that's the new reality. And whilst it will diminish a little bit from what we're doing now when we get into the new normal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I say that because it will be a new normal. It will not go back to what it was.
I like that. No, that's really cool. So in terms of the type of industries, I guess, that you work with, I remember chatting to you a while back. This is not in our notes, by the way. Sorry, a bit of a curveball, but it's always good to get like company testimonies. And I remember one thing you said. What we're talking about is Sometimes it may be a bit hard for clients or companies to get their head around, oh, why should I spend this money on training? But literally, like, soon as they do it, they're like, man, why haven't we done this sooner? Like, it's literally just flick the switch to them.
Yeah, yeah, and it is. I mean, a good example is the sort of things that we can do for people, and sometimes it's about them learning the skills, or sometimes it's actually, and I guess it's the appreciation of understanding that our trainers, some of our trainers have been training for 25 years, so they've got the experience in using, as an example, it might be, for argument's sake, Microsoft Excel. So they've got 25 years experience using Microsoft Excel to an advanced level.
Yep.
Now, it's all very well for somebody to come along to a training course and whatever. We can get them up to A level fairly quickly, right? If obviously they've got that desire to go to a programming level, etc. But it takes time to actually develop that experience and in terms of doing the advanced level things.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to talk about is that in the case of some organisations, we've been able to help them and put a group of people through and whatever. Not everybody gets to that level in a group of 8 people. You might find 2 or 3 really take to it like fish to water, and the other 6 people struggle a little bit, and there might be 1 or 2 who never really, really make it. But that's no different to university.
Yep.
Out of everybody who starts, 100 people who start a university course, less than 50 of them actually finish it. So it's no different in that. So the key to it is actually helping those people. But a good example, we had a situation where a fellow was analysing some data, and he had to do it on a daily basis, and it was actually taking about around about 90 minutes, pulling the data in, having it run through a program, which was, it would pass through Excel and then into Access and back to Excel. And it was about a 90-minute process. And he was doing that every day before he could really get into doing his work. So with him and having a look at the program and whatever, and with him, we were able to actually simplify that to bring it down to about 10 minutes, which was a huge saving for him. And obviously meant that huge dollars and cents. Similarly, in terms of an organisation that they had a staff member who was pulling data in and doing reporting, and she needed to do this for about 45 different branch operations, and it was all comparable data, but it was the same steps had to go through for 45 times, and that was taking her a month to do. In a typical 21, 22 working day month, she was taking 20 working days to do that job. So we were able to simplify that to be a 1-day job, and it was automated. It was very much automated, and that's a lot of what we are trying to help people promote and be better, be more efficient at what they're doing. Frees up their time, saving 1 million minutes. And saving that 1 million minutes is not only them saving their time, enabling them to get on and do other things which are more productive in the organisation, but it's enabling them to then share these great techniques and tools with other people. And that's actually where you get the multiplier effect that builds to the 1 million minutes. It's not me saving 1 million, it's me and all those people who I've shown how to use the tools better.
Yeah.
That adds up to 1 million minutes.
I love that. Yeah, it's definitely one of those things, once you're in it and then post doing the training, you see the fruit, I guess. And I like what you're talking about, tools, and that's definitely a focus from what I'm hearing of your business. But in terms of other tools in a professional environment, we're chatting about it briefly before, and since I've known you, you've been a very avid user of LinkedIn, which for anyone who's not aware is another professional tool, I guess you could say, platform where you can have your profile there, and you can literally use it as a virtual sort of networking tool. And there are some hints and tips, I guess. You've been using it for, I'll probably say, close to 5 years or more. So yeah, just a bit of a change of pace, I guess, for anyone who's watching, first time user of LinkedIn, or they've found themselves in a sticky situation due to the COVID-19 shutdown, and they're looking to join LinkedIn. Do you have like a top 2 things for anyone who's joining to look out for, I guess, in terms of?
Yeah, look, I'd love to share, and I guess I say this to everybody I meet. LinkedIn is a fabulous tool for meeting people who you don't already know, and to me, that's the value of LinkedIn. I'm on a mission to meet everybody I don't already now know. So the world's made up of me and other people, me and my family, and other people, me, my wife, my son, and you know that connection group plus other people. So there's a hell of a lot more of the other people than there are of those people I know. so I have a real passion for meeting other people. Now, how do I do that? Is, yes, I can go down to the main street of my suburb or my town, and I can tap people on the shoulder, but you know, that's downright ugly and uncomfortable. So it's about reaching out on using tools, and LinkedIn is my favorite tool for the moment, but there are other tools. It's about and it may not be LinkedIn next week, for sake. It's about reaching out, using that sort of tool, and in a very, very let's face it, non-threatening way. It's just purely, you know, reaching out to people to connect to them. But the key to that connection, it's all very well to connect, and I've got, you know, I mean, many people connect to me, and many connections I've got.
Yep.
But the key to having a connection is not having the connection. The key to having the connection is having a conversation.
Yep.
Because everybody, and the point I make is that everybody knows other people. The world is about knowing people and having influence where they advocate for you.
Yes.
Right? People know people. And we've all heard the adage, and it's so very, very true, that 85% of jobs out there, just using jobs as an example, are not advertised. 85% of jobs and positions are filled through people who know people, who recommend people.
Yep.
And that's the key, is the reason for knowing people is because you're building your own relevance, your own world of relevance. And should I say, Marky, your world of relevance is different to my world of relevance.
Yep.
So it's so important that you have your own, call it world of relevance or network or whatever you want to call it, and that I have mine. And I just love helping other people to build their world of relevance. And why do I do that? Because in the process, by helping other people to do that, right, it's a very, very, very strong case that will introduce me to their world of relevance.
Yeah, I love that.
And so that's more people who I'm meeting. So it's not only the people I'm meeting in my own effort of reaching out, but it's the people who other people introduce me to, who are relevant to what I might be, the direction I'm going, or whatever the case may be. It might be towards my career, it might be towards whatever.
I love that.
And the real value of that is that today, yes, I am in my business, as you mentioned, is in the corporate training market. But what if government decreed that no, training is outlawed? It's it's an outlawed activity. We can't train anybody anymore.
Wow.
Right? What would happen if that? Well, you know what? I can actually go into it because I've got a world of people who know, like, and advocate for me, trust me. Who knows? Next week I might be developing space rocketry or breeding goldfish.
Yep.
Right? So my world of relevance, me as an individual, is still somebody who can be advocated for according to what I might be doing. You know, that it's not. I'm not inexorably linked to my occupation.
Yep. Yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
It does, mate. I really love what you were saying about 85% of jobs aren't even advertised, which, you know, for me personally, I've believed that as well, not only from my own personal experience, but just from people that I've hung around. And so I think that's a very important thing to, it should be more of a conversation, I think. I mean, for yourself and I, we've known each other, so we kind of operate in those realms. But for anyone who, again, it's a tough season and I want to be sensitive and delicate to it. But the reality is, like you said, I think part of the journey is people getting out there and being proactive and knowing people, purely being on LinkedIn or just sending out resumes, which is sort of the normal thing to do. And I encourage that. But I like what you were touching on around advocacy, like personally knowing people. And so you've intentionally used LinkedIn for that purpose. So it's not just an online resume. You, from what it sounds like, are proactive on the platform. You send messages to people, not spammy messages as well. It's not like a, hey, I know you, do you want business? Like, it sounds like you've been very strategic with the way that you're
clarify. It's not about the transaction. It's not about the transaction. So, as an example, in meeting yourself, I know that there's 0.000 whatever 1%, how many zeros you want to put in front of it, percent of that you and I personally do a transaction. So but the key to it is that if you and I build a relationship of know, like, trust, which leads to advocacy, you're having different conversations every day than what I'm having. You're having conversations with people who I'm not having conversations with. So what it means is that you're hearing things I'm not hearing, and it may well be that you're hearing about an opportunity that might be good for me, or it might be good for somebody else. So the key to it is my meeting people, my being able to introduce people to that group, because the more people I introduce to that group and we build that relationship, we're all in this together.
Yep.
We're all meeting people together, and it's just about knowing people and having that really good circle of people who are on the same page and building value for each other.
Yeah.
And I guess just to, if you don't mind me just adding quickly, I read recently a really great note about other people around you. Are they moving forward, or are they anchors in your life? Because it is sometimes about discerning the people who are around you. They're either with you and helping you, or and moving forward with you, or they're not.
Yep.
And whilst I have some people in my life who are not, I don't spend much time with them.
Yep.
They're not my priority in that sense.
Yep. Yeah, I like that. Really, really good insights. Totally agree with the quote around people going in your direction or being an anchor. Yep, I've had to learn that one personally. But I like what you're saying around building a community. And for anyone who is listening in or watching this and are not on LinkedIn, or they've been on LinkedIn and they haven't been proactive about it, I would suggest, I'm sure you would agree, it's not too late to start that community. Like you can, given the state of affairs where we're just meeting virtually, would you suggest that people can still use LinkedIn as a tool, just as if you were going to a normal networking meeting, and you can reach out to people and you can like have a human conversation and not a salesy type of approach?
Oh, very much. And my process, and it is, you know, I guess success comes from having a process that you work on. And from a personal point of view, my process, I work a process, and there's a few other people who I know, that I know, and we all use the same process. And in fact, we show and teach other people how to use the process, because our aim is to have a very, very large group of people who we're all on the same page.
Yes.
So from that point of view, our process has moved from meeting people face to face because we can't in this current environment.
Mm-hmm.
But we're meeting people on Zoom sessions, and we're progressing that. For, if they're people, and not everybody you meet on LinkedIn or have a conversation with is somebody who you feel you can move forward with.
Yeah.
Right. So it just means that we're meeting those people, and those people that I feel I can build a know, like, and trust relationship with. I'm moving forward in the sense of sharing my contacts with them.
Yes.
And in a personal introduction. So setting up Zoom sessions to introduce them to those people. So it can work quite happily, quite well on Zoom. There will come a time, obviously, when the new normal comes back, where we will go back to meeting in person.
Yep.
But let me suggest it's most likely only those core people who I know who are definitely on my same page, who I will meet in a face-to-face basis. It's easy, and it's a straightforward process to meet people through LinkedIn, Zoom, whatever. Now, let me also say, I don't meet everybody who I connect with on LinkedIn. And the reason is because it's up to them.
Yes.
It's their choice as to whether they want to meet me. It's their choice as to whether they want to join a Zoom. It's their choice as to whatever. So that's fine. That's great. It's no different to normal everyday life.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Man, we could probably chat about this for hours on end. Obviously, you're an avid user of LinkedIn, and I'm pretty passionate about the tool as well. So, anyone who actually wants to chat more, I guess, I'm sure it's okay if they just reach directly out to James. The links are already there on LinkedIn and stuff. So I'm sure he would welcome a conversation around, anyone that's beginning or starting up, like any hints and tips. But I just wanted to change gears a bit. The question is, where did you, more of a personal touch, I guess. I'm a very social person, so I love asking social questions. Where did you grow up, and what was your first job?
I grew up in Brisbane and did the schooling thing and whatever, went to uni. And my first job was with a industrial parts distributor. And it really was about getting the first job that I could get. And I guess indicative of that is my attitude to work, and that is that I want to work with people who I'm comfortable with, a good environment and that type of thing. So after leaving uni, I didn't actually immediately go on the hunt, and so the day you leave uni, you start your job the next day. I actually had the university break through till February, and I didn't even start work with a company. In fact, I didn't even start looking until mid-January after I'd left uni, because I actually took the time to go and do a couple of personal development courses.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I did that. I went on a, I don't know if they're still around, but I went on a program called Outward Bound at that time. So that was a fabulous program. And then when I came back from that, that's when I started looking for a role. I actually we talk about the jobs not advertised. I applied to a job that was advertised in Sydney, and they wrote back to me and said, "No, you haven't got the job. We've selected somebody else, better qualified, etc., etc." But they also then said that they would refer me through to the Queensland operation because they were impressed by what I had to offer. And wow. I actually got the job. I was the only, they weren't even advertising for somebody in Queensland. They just took me on. And that's what happens.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that didn't come because I knew anybody in that role, or I was recommended, other than I was recommended through the interview process in Sydney, if that makes sense.
So it totally does, man. So you could hypothetically say, even if you didn't even apply for that Sydney job, the Brisbane job may not have been on your radar, or you may not have been aware of it, I guess. So,
Well, it wouldn't have, no, it was never advertised. They weren't even thinking about advertising. But it comes about where quite often people are having conversations. No doubt the Queensland management had a conversation with Sydney in terms of saying, yeah, if the right person comes along, yeah, maybe, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and we're having conversations with people all day, every day.
Yeah.
You and I, everybody in the community. And those sorts of conversations are being had. So there are a lot of jobs that come about like that. Oh, I know a fabulous person who would be really great for that role. I know you don't have a set role at the moment, but why don't you just interview them and meet them?
Yeah.
And quite often those people create roles for those people. They create, the job's not really there in a formal sense, but the job gets created when the right person comes along to fill those shoes.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's how I got my first job.
That's really cool. I love that.
but at the same token, I would say that I'm the sort of person where I've also been through a number of different positions over the years, organisations that I joined, and I wasn't comfortable in those organisations.
Okay.
So I removed myself from those organisations. I didn't look for it. I wasn't necessarily concerned whether I had another job to go to. It's just that life's too short not to be enjoying what I do every day.
I love that.
So if I'm not looking forward to going and being with a group of people doing whatever role, well then it's time to move on.
Yeah.
Move on. I'm not going to wait for anyone to tap me on the shoulder. I'll just keep moving on because I'm interested to find something I enjoy, be happy and contented with it.
I like that. Yeah. And you're in control, I guess, and you're being proactive about seeking out those opportunities, I think is an important thing to note there. So I'm pretty similar in that regard. So I like that approach.
Yeah.
That's cool, mate. Well, I've really enjoyed catching up today and hearing a lot of your story. And I guess just as some closing remarks, anyone who's watching this in my network or yours, is there anything that someone can do to either benefit you from a business or a professional focus?
Yeah, look, thanks for asking. I mean, it's something in the back of my mind, I'm interested in meeting people who are potentially in a leadership role or see themselves moving in that direction, or people in decision-making from a corporate point of view, people within organisations. I'm interested in meet people who are in decision-making roles. Now, it may not be at a very senior level, it may be mid-level, or it might be more senior. But I'm interested in meeting people in those sorts of roles because it's those sorts of people who can make a difference. It quite often it's those sorts of people who are potentially people who I can then share my network with, and they can make a difference to the organisations they're working for and to their own personal life.
Yep.
Because you make enough difference to enough people in organisations, and that then leads on to a personal some benefits. So I'm interested to meet people who are developing leaders, see themselves as developing leaders, or are currently in decision-making roles, be it mid, senior, or the top roles. Because there are some fabulous contacts who I have, and I'd love to share those with them, and we will do better together from that point.
I love that. Yeah, totally agree with that approach. And thanks for sharing that. And anyone who's watching can reach out directly to James via the links below, either on LinkedIn or just send me a message too, and I can facilitate the introduction. But thanks, James. I really appreciate that.
Thanks, Mark. It's been fun.
Yeah, it has been. Yeah. Hope you enjoy your Saturday afternoon, and we'll chat again soon.
Okay. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, mate. See ya.